because they want to again derail this process. And when Obama says that he will mediate on Kashmir, and there is a Kashmiri political movement picking up momentum, and in this situation, he said that he would send Bill Clinton as the mediator. Obviously, the militants in India do not want this to happen, and they had to preempt it. So Pakistan doesn't gain, the Pakistani I.S.I. doesn't gain anything from it. The net beneficiary is either the militant Hindus.
Stay there, sir. We have to break. We have to break, General.
On their next election. And
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a rare interview, extremely enlightening. We're talking to the former head of Pakistani intelligence, the I.S.I. I want to thank Paul Watson, who we've got on the line, who's going to pop in with a question or two. I want to thank Simon over in the UK for getting us this number, and I want to thank Aaron for staying up late last night to get the producing job done to get this interview right here on the GCN Radio Network. General, continuing with motive, I have the headline here: Pakistan asserts hoax war call was real. Press minister fingers India High Commission as source of reports that threatening cell call was fake. As you know, this is in most of the major Pakistani papers. The government has the caller ID and the phone records, but the threatening call saying that India was going to attack within minutes of the terrorist attacks beginning in Mumbai a few weeks ago, this provocative call within minutes saying India was going to attack Pakistan, attempting to get Pakistan, I guess, to move troops to the border and have a conflict. And the media is saying that a possible war between the two thermonuclear powers was narrowly averted. Can you speak to that?
Yes, indeed. I think the Americans and the Indians both have been very responsible about it, because Condoleezza Rice's statement in India, when she went and visited Delhi, they were very threatening towards Pakistan, and it was sort of a dictation that you have to satisfy India. Now, this is amazing that Pakistan had to satisfy India. On what score? Indians have still to come out with the evidence. And as far as this one man that they have caught, who knows that this is not a bogey and that this man was loitering around somewhere. There are lots of Pakistanis who cross the border illegally or legally, and he could have been picked up, and he's become the front man for singing all those stories. So one doesn't really know. It's too early to start threatening war against Pakistan, because Pakistan is a nuclear country, and if they brandish their power, conventional power, then I can assure you that as a soldier I will say that a conventional war, limited war within the nuclear environment is not possible in the subcontinent. And if it comes to exchange of nuclear weapons, then this becomes a third world war. China cannot stay out. Russia will not stay out. Russia is already showing its belligerence towards America and Europe. And China, of course, is a very major economic power. They are a nuclear power, and if this thing happens in their backyard, they will not accept it. So this is a very dangerous situation. I think it's playing with the fire. So the whole thing is could get out of hand. It is, again, as I told you, that the part of the unfinished agenda that newcons had in their mind, and they think that now Obama will carry it out, even though the Americans want a change. But let's look at what change means. Obama has not very clearly enunciated what change would be, but one can assume that change means focusing on the domestic issues. There is an economic meltdown, the car industry is going sick, and many other things are happening inside America, the social welfare and the Medicare, etc. So in all these things, there is a need for the new administration to focus entirely on the domestic issues.
Well, General,
and for that it will have to disengage externally.
General, as you know, in the last 3 months before Obama was even elected, he said Pakistan and Afghanistan would be his main focus. the strikes inside Pakistan. It's clear that his change means what Zbigniew Brzezinski wants, shifting what the RAND Corporation has said they want, shifting the war out of the Middle East into Central Asia. So I believe the change is going to be these provocations. Look at the neocons with Israeli and NATO-backed forces launching the sneak attack on the Russian-held South Ossetia on 8/8/8. So it appears that they are trying to launch a major, larger than a theater war. As the RAND Corporation said a month ago, they want a major new war.
Yes, indeed, you are right, because this is an old theory, which is geostrategic theory, put out first by Mackinder and then by Mahan, who was an admiral in the U.S. Navy, that this is the rimland. You have to first control the rimland in Asia before you can strike in the heartland of Asia. So this heartland, rimland thing, I think it fits into the story. It fits into the picture that if they have a conflict in the rimland and they can control it, and then it becomes so much easier to go and penetrate into the heartland. But this is really asking too much at a state when America is not in a very healthy economic condition. So I think this is a brinkmanship of the highest order. And if they enlarge the area of conflict in this war against terrorism, and if they prolong the period of conflict, then America will definitely lose.
General.
Because I know that when you are fighting the irregular fighters, when area of conflict is enlarged, let's say it's extended into the tribal areas of Pakistan, or it is pushed into Kashmir as well, so that China can be monitored and watched quite easily, then the area will become larger, and the U.S. simply does not have the troops, and there is not a moral cause strong enough for the American people to be mobilized behind it.
So that's why they staged.
This is sheer madness to be thinking of such things at this time.
So that's why they need proxies like India to destabilize the region for the encirclement of Russia and, of course, China blocking those pipelines. Now, sir, in the time we've got left, you worked with the United States, with Saudi Arabia, with Israel, or at least Pakistan did, fighting the Russian invasion. Of course, if these reports are incorrect, correct me, but you were one of the main commanders helping the Mujahideen. Then you were the head of Pakistani intelligence right at the time that you finally had the victory against the Russians. It is reported here that al-Qaeda was founded by the new Secretary of Defense Gates and Zbigniew Brzezinski, or that they were the Wahhabist fighting corps, and that they are now being used to try to bring down the Pakistani government and to stage attacks inside India. So can you speak with your particular expertise to that? And then also the fact that they're trying to now list you as a terrorist. And then thirdly, did you ever meet Osama bin Laden? Is Osama bin Laden dead many years ago of kidney failure, as Benazir Bhutto said?
Well, I was actually in charge of operations against the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, and the Americans were providing the logistic support, and Saudis were sharing one half of the budget for this war, and it was a cheap war because in all those 10 years that we were fighting the Russians, we spent not more than $5 billion out of the American exchequer, so it was a very cheap war for the Americans to have defeated the Russians and rid the whole of the West of this red menace that they used to call. So at that time, Osama bin Laden and his colleagues, they were admired and they were romanticized by the CIA operators. I had never met him then. I had nothing to do with him because I was only busy training the Afghans. We had to win a war. We had a task on our hand. It was a very big task. And we were so occupied with the training only the Afghans. No other national was trained by the I.S.I. I can vouch on that. Not a single person, not even a Pakistani, was trained by them. Osama bin Laden was, I had never met him, but these people used to come and talk glowingly about him. I met Osama bin Laden after my retirement from the army in 1993 December in Khartoum, and then again in year 1994 November when I was there invited by Hassan bin Turabi to an international conference, and during that conference, Osama invited us to a banquet, and it was all in an open place, and where there were many other people present. He struck to me as a very normal human being, not a bloodthirsty animal that is being presented by the CIA now. At that time, no conversation between him and me took place. I don't know whether he's living or dead, but so far, Ayman al-Zawahiri has been representing him in various interviews of Osama that have been put out. So one doesn't really know, but the last interview, which was a voice interview, in that the CIA and the other U.S. intelligence agencies authenticated that it was Osama's voice. So one doesn't really know whether he's living or dead.
Well, sir.
But even if he's not living, he's now a symbol. Al-Qaeda is a franchise. Whoever created that, and for whatever reason they created,